The Planet Coaster Adventure Pack came out in December of 2017 and was absolutely jam-packed full of tropical foliage, crazy trap and animal animatronics, and exotic temple buildings. I'm going to try and squeeze all of that into the tiniest corner of my tiny park. Welcome to Geekism and welcome back to Planet Coaster Archer Park. This is our tiny 30 by 30 park where we try and squeeze as much as we can into the space and also take a look over the history of Planet Coaster as we approach the launch of Planet Coaster 2. In episode 1 we built a big wooden coaster and put down a few buildings and rides from the original game, and in episode 2 we did a not so spooky car ride here, which I think has turned out pretty solid as well. This is the one I wasn't particularly looking forward to, the Adventure Pack one, because the scenery from it was all just giant and huge and really fun, really sort of in keeping with the Planco style, but not really keeping with the sort of style that I usually build with. And this one probably will end up getting a little bit away from us, but I do want to try and get a ride in here that features the Adventure Pack as well as I can make it. The Adventure Pack came with a couple of rides, the swinging minecart coaster, and then a couple of different versions of the huge boat ride as well. There's obviously no way we're going to get the boat ride in here, so swinging mine coaster it is. So through the magic of editing, let's build a ridiculous coaster. Don't get your hopes up. Okay, I know this looks an absolute mess. I do, honestly. Trust me, it gets better. Stick around, I promise. But the bare bones here, they're kind of there. Obviously, it was really tricky to get a decent, a layout and both a queue line and an exit path. Keep it in this space here. Don't let it get too tall. Don't let it get too far away this way. Let's be honest, the wooden coaster did sprawl a little bit. We're going to struggle to get much more in this space here. So I really wanted to keep this tight into this corner and also leave a little strip here for some kind of main street. I know that's going to be a real sort of small area, but some sort of like shops and that sort of decompression zone as you enter the park. So that's the plan there. But the bare bones are here. The next thing we need to do is do a lot of terrain work to build this all up, because at the moment this is all sort of open and that's not how it's going to be. The plan with this was always to kind of build a mountain in the corner, highly themed mountain with temple ruins and foliage and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, the only way I could really get this to work tight enough was have it come across itself in this sort of. So it's basically a really overly windy figure of 8. It comes out, it goes that way, it crosses over, it goes back again. So I needed to wind over itself. Obviously, having it wind under the lift hill wasn't so bad, and all of this will end up being enclosed within the mountain. That's fine. The tricky spot was really having to run it either under or over the station. I decided in the end to go for under, so we could sort of box it in like a sort of temple mine exploration kind of area. And then it comes back around and does some windy little bits to make the most of the swinging, although the swinging doesn't really do much, to be honest with you. Here it just kind of stays still. The only thing I really quite enjoyed was I realised as building this, there was a piece of track that didn't require having any of the track, really, just the things. Now, I don't think you'd use this a lot, or you'd maybe use this on the ground near the stations, I guess, but I wanted to try and replicate a little bit, at least, the new Donkey Kong mine coaster that's going into Epic Universe in Florida. I think there's another one somewhere else, maybe, as well. And obviously that's even more impressive because it has the sort of fake track above it, so you don't even notice it. But I thought it'd be quite fun to try and make this look like broken tracks, similar to the end of the first run of Expedition Everest, and then maybe colour this blue so that it sort of gets lost a little bit in the sky. I thought that'd be quite fun, but we'll get to that in a little moment. First of all, I need to try and ground this with some terrain. the coaster is terrained in. This was fun. I don't do much with terrain, honestly, so it was fun to sort of have a play with all the cool tools. But now you can see the coaster coming up to the high point of the hill there, and then it goes underneath, back down. We'll show that off in a moment. Under the station, and then back up, and then it sort of has the last little terrain coaster bit. This is a 30 by 30 park, right? We're not going to get actual proper layouts in this thing. They're going to be very sort of truncated versions of the actual rides. But I've tried to get as many of the fun features as I can in here, and I did start a little bit on the theming here just to try and get a feel of the vibe of what we're looking for, and looking at some of the awesome temple pieces. These are temple blocks. A lot of this foliage here also came with the adventure pack, although honestly this structure here, this is actually part of the Ghostbusters pack, I believe. I think it's part of the Goza temple on top of the building. I'm not sure. But anyway, it looks great. I think it's perfect. A lot of the temple pieces were, let's be honest, huge. So finding something that is a little smaller and fits in, and then we've actually got a track trigger here just to have a little bit of a flame effect as the ride goes along there. And yeah, I think it's certainly pretty good. I did actually start boxing in down here as well. Really happy with how this looks. It's got a nice sort of intense underneath section now, so it sort of comes through here and sort of has fun. Whoop, let's turn to a better camera angle. There we go. Has fun coming through there. Need to tweak up this terrain a little bit. I'll do that in the next pass. But overall, yeah, I think it's starting to look like something. Again, this is going to be pretty out there compared to the stuff that I normally try and do, which is a little bit more focused on realism. But you know, we're having fun. You know, we're playing around with the pieces from each set. We're squeezing it into a little space. We're not worrying about backstage or anything like that. So I am just enjoying the process here. And you know, there's parts of this that I really quite enjoy. I really like this little loop, this little jump here. I kind of like what we've done here. I'm looking forward to sort of carrying on this down and really sort of going to town with all of the temple stuff. I think it'll look pretty good. And before we do our actual proper cut, as in like moving forward with the hour, I wanted to show you a little bit further along now. Box that station in using the temple walls. Don't really feel like you can get away with using these any other theme, really. They're very stylized, but I think for this they are perfect, and it really helps us see the sort of space we're working with. The station is probably the biggest issue I'm going to have. I don't know what kind of thing to do so that it doesn't just cover up all that work we've done on the lift hill there. But obviously it can't just be a flat pad here. I think it might be an open air station, just so that we can still keep some sight lines, even maybe if not from the path here, from the queue line. It would be nice to keep some of that in. But we've carried on with the temple brick here coming down. I didn't want to build an actual sort of full temple building. I wanted to sort of keep this sort of ruiny look to it, and then we got one of the actual adventure statues in here with water coming down over it. One of the hardest things I'm having to do with all of this, the station building and all of this sort of rubble and everything, is that obviously it all sort of peeks through here. I've spent an absolute age tucking it all away. There's a little bit of water coming down, but you just don't even notice it on the ride POV, so I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, that will be a problem with the station, because the path comes right here. So anything we build on the station, how often would you normally just sink stuff down to make it work? And I'm just not going to be able to do that here. So that's going to be a fun problem to have, he says, unconvincingly. Look at it go! It's flying! You know what? There's always a moment in a project where it starts, where it stops looking ridiculous and starts to look like something, and this is that moment. And all it took was a little bit of rock work and a little bit of foliage and just a little bit of tweaking here and there, and I actually think this is starting to look like something. Is it realistic? No, not at all. Is it a little bit over the top? Absolutely. But at least, you know, sort of within the confines of the rule set we're giving ourselves, which is this 30 by 30 park, you know, having to use, you know, big pieces that maybe wouldn't normally use. I actually, you know, ride system, I don't know. Building the coasters myself, which I can't do. Despite all of that, at least it looks fun, and I've enjoyed myself actually with you. I'll be honest with you, the gap between the last cut and this cut was a good few days, because I did hit a brick wall at the last of it, and I was like, no, I'm going to push through, I'm going to put some rocks down, I'm going to put some foliage down, I'm going to put a podcast on, I'm going to try and get into the zone, and I actually think this is quite a good step. We will have some larger foliage, some trees and what have you, But for the most part, the ride now, I think, feels really grounded. We fenced in the area from the exit here. So I've used the exit, the path fences. I don't mind them. In Planet Coaster 2, you are able to choose which fence you have to which path, which is something you can't do now. I'm very excited for that. Obviously very excited for Planet Coaster 2 in general. If you are, and you're not already, please don't forget to subscribe, because we're going to be covering Planet Coaster 2 a lot at time of recording, or when this video goes out, actually. The next day there's going to be a Planet Coaster 2 deep dive, which I will be also deep diving into and covering here. So if you don't want to miss a single thing, make sure you have subscribed. And I'm really happy with this as well. It's just using planks and some beams to kind of fake the thing coming down. Like if you look closely, yes, the rail doesn't actually stop and it comes this way. You can do a little bit more with the funky ride system of the Donkey Kong ride, but I think it sells it. I think it sells the fact that it looks like a jump. Obviously, it doesn't actually look like a jump, but I think it sells the theming and what I'm trying to make happen there. I think it's actually quite fun. And then we got some rope and wood, which is the classic adventure fill. And yeah, that's about it for this update, I think. Next one, really need to start working on some foliage, and then we need to have a go at this station. Also, elephant in the room. Yes, technically I've come over the 30 by 30, but it's just for the terrain. The actual ride, if you look, picture where the line is, boop, 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 the ride is all inside the 30 by 30. I could have, literally cut this terrain off here and just had like a sheer rock face, but I thought, you know what, I don't mind bending that rule slightly, just so this looks a little bit more natural, and just so that some of the screenshots we end up later on with, it doesn't look so jarring. But, the ride itself, the actual attractions are within the 30 by 30. If that's not good enough for you, then you need to get out of here. We don't have that kind of that negativity here, okay? Procrastination is a wonderful thing. I just don't want it to the station. I put some trees down, and I really think that helps. It's crazy what just 6 trees will do, but I really think it sort of helps ground the ride. It gives you some head chopper moments. We might have to trickle this one a little bit, but otherwise, yeah. The only other thing I did as well, I don't know why I did it. I don't think you can tell. This ride is custom supported, technically, because basically all of the supports got removed with the terrain. But the ones that were down just didn't seem to be good enough. So, yeah, all of these, look, see? Look, I can click them individually. These are all custom supports. Yeah, so even though this thing looks ridiculous, I am trying to, keep it in line with where it should be. So we wanted one here. I feel like maybe even this isn't supported enough, but obviously, it would break the vibe if we did. And then we have these 2 ones down here, and then the only other bit really is this overhead bit. I think probably in a real park this would have some sort of netting over it, especially here where the car leans down so much, but and fencing here as well. But there's only so much we can do in such a small space. And again, this is my wrapping up the Planet Coaster coverage. We're having fun. We're just enjoying ourselves. I keep telling myself it'll happen, honestly. But yeah, these are custom. I don't know. I dig it. I'm gonna be. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not I actually end up building any coasters in Planet Coaster 2. Like, pretty much everything I built was outsourced to other people. The couple that have stuck around are fine. But obviously, I really want to try and hit a good level of both realism and polish with Meanderville, my Planet Coaster 2 series. So maybe we just outsort all the coasters again, or maybe I just try my hardest and do good. Anyway, let's have a go at this station in a time lapse. So. Going to try and use as much of the adventure pieces here. I think this was adventure. This scaffolding just makes great wall, floor coverage here in the nice wood. It's a little wobbly, but I think it works pretty well for what we're trying to do. And using some of the individual temple blocks here rather than that temple wall. The temple wall is really good, but it looks very samey, and obviously using those 4x4 grids or what have you, it's difficult to get some variation there. So instead we're going to use these temple blocks. Yes, they're a bit thick, they're a bit chunky, but I think used sparingly and then fleshed out with some foliage that we'll do in a little while. I actually think they turn out pretty good. Again, big problem I'm having here is trying to use some of these ruined pieces, but it all sticks out underneath, and I go back and forth and try and make it work, and in the end I'm relatively happy with what we've done. But we're trying to keep the temple theme running here. I kind of wanted the idea that this is the base camp and you are taking the coaster up to the temple, and then there's, you know, the big drop is the temple god being angry at you and it throws you all around, you know, sort of classic coaster theming kind of thing, I think. So I wanted to keep this looking a little bit more like a base camp, so we do get all our barrels and crates and what have you in a little bit later on. And this is very loosely based on the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland Paris station, which isn't completely open. It does have a bit of a roof on it, but these sort of lanterns hanging are very reminiscent of it. And the temple things around it as well. So, yeah, really happy with how it turned out. And then I get to use these awesome scaffolding pieces. I really kind of love these pieces. I don't know why. I almost wonder whether it's worth doing a video of like my 20 favorite things in Planet Coaster that you can put down, because some of them are my favorite because they're just useful, such as barrels and pavement pieces, but some of them I just think they look great, and these scaffolding pieces, I just think they look great. It'd be really nice if we had the components for them so we can build our own, but yeah, I really always enjoyed putting them down sparingly wherever I could. But here we go, barrels and crates and wire, and then we add some ivy just to break up the relatively harsh texture of the relatively sort of harsh flatness of the temple stuff here. And you know, for what it is, I actually think this turned out pretty good. It is a pretty over the top open air coaster station that looks a little temple-y for this ridiculous temple ride we built. A lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to go back and look at some of the adventure pieces. Didn't really have much of a use for animals and what have you, but I might try and get one of those in a food place, maybe, you know, like do like a gator burger place and have one of the gators on the roof or something like that, just so we can get them in there, because they were definitely a fun part of the DLC. And here is the finished project. Say hello to Javola Adventure Coaster. Javola being the Planko word for adventure. So say hello to Adventure Coaster. I don't know. It's like the River Avon or the Sahara Desert. It's so good. They named it twice. There's the station all in, and it did what I wanted it to do, which was carry on the adventure theming, bring the eyeline up to the scene in the background there. I think if we'd have done a big building with, you know, roof or whatever, it would have just covered all of that up. So at least now, for a good chunk of it, you can see, obviously there are gaps like over towards this side you can't do, but then you do have the eyeline of the fun sort of coaster interaction here of the exit line. And overall, I'm really quite happy with how this turned out. I did a little bit more foliage up the back here as well. This was all sort of not done. And yes, you know, there's trees come over here. I will put trees all around this in the end, so that we can do some nice glamour shots later on. So I don't mind trees going down outside of the grid. And again, all of the actual scenery, it's in there. It's in there. You can stop writing your nasty postcards. All of the attractions are inside the 30 by 30, but there we go. We have the fun exit line down here, back up to the main throughway, and then we have the sign. This is just art shapes basically, and one of the fonts. I think it's an Idro font from the workshop, and it's awesome. Tried to get a little bit of the Indiana Jones vibe to it, but you know, I could have spent a lot longer with like actual Idro beams on this, but I think it looks cute, and from a distance I think it reads pretty well and bright, and you know, it's good. We can't just have all of the signs be one of these that I type into. We need to do some better effort. Now, happy with how this has come out. Was a bit of a slog getting there, if I'm honest with you, because the limitations of the pack for what I've given myself, this sort of thing, you know, it was tough. But you know, I think it looks okay. I think it looks pretty good, and we did manage to keep this. Might have to tweak the train a little bit here, but did manage to keep this for a little bit of an entrance plaza. And what I think is actually more fun than just having like a main street is this bad boy. Like with a little bit of a tweak on the train, we can actually get another ride in here. And I did say I want to try and squeeze as many rides as possible into this thing. So I say we do a building or two here and here, and and we've just put that thing in and somehow give it a queue line. I don't know. Probably carry over the adventure theming down into it. I think that'd be really good fun. Now, oh my god, we're being invaded. What is this huge shadow? Oh, it's just the sun going down. Oh, do you know what? I turned the sunlight off. I would always just have this stuck at like 1 p.m. But I turned it off so that I could get some fun shots of the sun coming up. There we go. Actually, no, where do we normally have it? Is it about 3 p.m.? I like that slight sort of duskiness coming in. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, so here's the thing. The next pack was the Studios pack. Now, I adored the Studios pack. I honestly think it might be my favourite pack. I had an absolute blast in Geekism Studios, although it didn't end up being a completed project. But more importantly, Studios just gave us incredible fencing, pavements, little dustpin things. What else did Studios give us? Loads of the transport ride that we all use for parking lots, cars, all of that kind of thing. There were some really dumpsters. They were Studios pack. Just awesome stuff. Now, we don't have the space here to do much of a backstage for anything. Don't really want to waste the space on backstage for anything, honestly. I really want to try and just make this a front of stage thing, and we don't worry about the fact that there's no backstage. And the rides that came with the Studios pack were insane. It was all just huge track rides. Let's take a quick look at them. The Studio pack rides then were the Kuka arm. I think it's called a Kuka arm thing here with the concave screens that we used for the Subnautica ride in the Studios pack. There is the car ride, the what's it called? The Studios lot ride, I guess, that we again used in the Studios pack. And we did try and use this in the Studios pack for an Evil Genius ride that never really ended up getting finished. But either way, none of those work in this at all. So I don't think we're going to be able to do a ride for the Studios pack. I don't really know what else we could do. The one thing I really wanted to try and squeeze in here, and it's kind of ridiculous to think about it, is the light rail, basically the people mover from Disney. And I did wonder if we could just go boop and somehow find its way without just sitting along paths. If we could find its way around the park. I think I'm asking too much of the little people mover, to be honest with you. But I thought maybe we could do that and theme it Studios-y. I don't know. I genuinely would like some feedback in the comments as to what I could do to represent the Studios pack, because I'm kind of struggling a little bit. You know, all of the others ones I don't feel so bad about. Vintage is going to be no problem at all. We got loads of cool flat rides for Vintage. We're going to be doing the wooden coaster station with Vintage, maybe even some of the entrance plaza stuff, this little ice cream thing. Vintage, no issues there at all. World's Fair, again, no issues there at all. Magnificent rides, classic rides, we'll definitely try and get some more rides down. Studios is the one that I'm struggling to kind of, how do I encompass Studios in that? And I understand that this is completely of my own doing, but how do we do Studios pack? Please, feedback in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned for the Planet Coaster Planet Coaster 2 coverage that's coming tomorrow. Love you all to bits. Until the next one, be good.